Hey guys, welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. Alongside James and alongside Chris, my name is Ryan. We're looking at a 6-2 Dallas Stars win here tonight, gentlemen. First off, happy birthday, Chris. And thank you also to our sponsors, DraftKings Sportsbook and Game Time. Use that promo code THPN the next time you are there. Guys, tell me your initial thoughts for this game here tonight.
Yo, happy birthday to me. That third period was pretty great. Also, I love the NPR voice that Ryan goes into whenever he does the podcast from the press box. That's pretty great.
There's other people trying to get their work done here too. So just trying to be respectful. That's all this.
It's okay. Me and James will double the energy to match.
Go for it. James, what's your initial thoughts here tonight?
Kind of game broken up in multiple spots. The first period looked pretty good. Came out tied. Same story as the last two games. Second period was really the first pretty poor period they played in a while. But they come out of that one tied. And then the third period, we finally see execution from the Stars. We hadn't seen it for this almost 4 games straight.
That's exactly where I'm at, honestly, because I thought the first period was very good. I thought the Stars deserved a little bit more out of their chances than what they got there in the first period. It was just a really bad turnover by Lyubushkin there early, and then the Stars were only able to capitalize on one of their chances. And they were the better team through the first period. Second period, it was mostly about the Flames there, and I thought they deserved more than what they got in the second period. And then I was even a little bit worried at the beginning of the third because at least at the beginning, it looked like at the beginning of the second period. And then the Stars just kind of took care of business, got their chances, and were able to take advantage of them when they did. So I think that's the positive coming out of this game is that the third period actually was in their favor compared to the game Wednesday like it was against the LA Kings.
Yeah, it was the execution. And then also you get back some of the luck, too, that we felt like we were missing the past 2 games, especially on that Harley goal. So, or the first one, I should say. Or was it the second? I can't remember. There were so many goals.
First Harley goal.
Yeah, but got the luck.
Yes, exactly. So, honestly, I think we need to break down some of the biggest storylines here tonight. But I think the biggest one is Jason Robertson. That has to feel good here tonight. He gets the goal and an assist. He looks good for the most part. It finally looks like he's starting to kind of round into form, just like some other players on this team. You could say the same thing for Roope Hintz, Miro Heiskanen. There were some talk in the chat about Maverick Bourque finally feeling a little bit more comfortable here in the NHL and kind of coming off his injury. So specifically, all of those guys have been doing really well, but specifically Robertson, what did y'all see out of him tonight?
Yeah, driving the net like we saw last game too with his non-goal. Get to the net and just bludgeon it home when you're on a goalless drought like he's on. So he did exactly that, and he's got to keep doing it, and he's got to keep shooting. He scored that goal, and you could see his confidence go back up, and you can see him start taking more of those Jason Robertson-y shots from weird angles and weird times.
Yeah, he was doing lots of shenanigans that were working tonight. Not stupid, cute stuff trying to get passes over. He's trying to get it to the net.
That's the one thing I noticed about Robertson, especially lately, is he just needs to take it to the net. And honestly, that's where you need to go if you need goals. Take it to the net and look for rebounds. Talking to him post game and when he was available for the after game presser, he looked hungrier for more. He didn't look done, which is good. That's a very good news if you're a Stars fan. Like he loved. He looked really relaxed, like a lot more relaxed than he's been. But he looked like he was hungrier for more. And then he was. He even said during the third period he was wanting to get a second goal. So it's good to see, especially Robertson kind of getting out there and shoving that out a little bit more. Maybe we can use a little bit more from him going forward. I do want to talk about a little bit about the D pairings too, because that's something that I didn't get to talk about in the last game. We've seen Miro with Lyubushkin a little bit. We've seen Nils and Essa, and then we've seen Harley and Dumba, and that's fairly interesting. It's a little bit more balanced than what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, especially with the way that Dumba and Smith have both been kind of playing. But I mean, what have y'all seen out of those three pairings in particular? I'm curious to know your thoughts.
Yeah, speaking about a lot more balance, Dumba almost gets 60 minutes time on ice tonight. He's the lowest time on ice guy on the defensive core for Dallas. So I like that. I like being able to see everybody play. And since I've been giving Dumba crap the past few games, even though he is playing better, I'll give him some praise here tonight. I thought he was a lot better tonight, even still. So I think he's progressing with every game these past few, and hopefully that keeps on going. And yeah, the pairs are working out good. I think Lyubushkin more than earned his chance on the top pairing with Heiskanen, and it's worked out a lot better than Dumba did. So whatever we can do to keep the defensive pairs even, and hopefully if we allow them to settle a little bit, they'll work themselves out, and we'll always be shaking things up when we get to the end of the games, especially like if we're down, putting Harley Heiskanen together is an obvious thing that we can do. If we're up, heck, maybe we put Lindell back on the top pairing with Heiskanen. So there's a lot of switching around we can do with that too. It doesn't have to be strictly left and right.
Yeah, and what's nice is that you're seeing all the right-handed defensemen play around 16 minutes. I mean, getting that consistently is going to free up Heiskanen a lot. I mean, he only gets 23 minutes on the night.
And that's good. We want Heiskanen to have lower minutes in these.
That is only 23. Normally he gets to 25 and above. Easiest.
Only that's crazy for any other defenseman other than maybe Miro Heiskanen, and then maybe Brock Faber. I don't know why his name jumped into my head, but I just noticed that the D pairings were very balanced today. They all seem to play really well together, and I especially love the fact that Lundqvist is playing with Essa. It's almost like he's playing a pseudo top four role kind of thing. I still don't think he's being trusted enough to like be on the power play or be on the penalty kill yet, but I think he's working into that conversation now, and that's really good news if you're the Dallas Stars and if you're Nils Lundqvist.
Yeah, and what we've talked about with Lundqvist is at the start of the season, he's got to figure out his defense so that he can stay on the ice was the number one thing, and he's done that. What's going to get him more ice time, like you're talking about, Ryan, is to find that offense that is the real reason we got him, is his ability with the puck. And he's starting to find that, I think, we've been seeing. His shot needs to be better. He's shooting directly into the chest of the goalie with pretty much every chance he gets right now, but he looks like he's getting more active in the offensive zone and is looking to make some plays, and that's what's going to earn him more ice time now. He's got to stay solid defensively like he has been. He's got to start scoring.
I think he gets an assist here tonight, doesn't he? I think he did.
Yes, he did.
He picked one up.
Yes, he. I don't think it was a primary. I think it was a secondary, but I digress. Whatever. It still points on the board for him, so that's really important for Lundqvist to get on there. I do want to talk about one player that I think is kind of getting overlooked a little bit, y'all, and I think that's Oscar Back. I think he's really done very, very well in the role that he's been asked to play, and it's his. They mentioned it on the Jumbotron right after the game. He was one of the 3 stars of the game. It's his first multi-point game in the NHL here today with 2 assists. He's been quietly very good. He's just been playing a bottom 6 role, and especially with some injuries in the lineup, he's just kind of solidified his spot in the lineup, and I don't think he's going out anytime soon.
Yeah,
he's the perfect 4th line filler that the Stars needed, and he's played it extremely well.
Yeah, and he's a lot cheaper than Foxa, pulling up Joe's comment here, giving me garbage about it, saying I should get a hit for every dollar Foxa earned. I'd take it, by the way. I would.
You just wanted to say that just so you could pull that comment up, didn't you?
Hey, Bach's a lot cheaper than Foxa. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Let's also kind of mention Harley a little bit too. Yeah, he does get the 2 goals here tonight, but a lot of the stuff he's been doing this year is more on the defensive side of the puck than he did last year. He does get rewarded with some goals here tonight. But what did y'all see from Thomas Harley tonight?
Yeah, hopefully that's just a confidence boost for him, and he can get back on that goal streak that we saw him on last year. Yeah, I loved his shot. I think he's been playing really solid defensively this year, especially when you have him on a pair with Dumba, who's been having problems. That's especially important, and he's been doing well and making Dumba's job easier too, about not having to worry about coughing up too many passes in his own zone, which he still did a few times tonight. But hopefully Dumba can just slide those over to Harley and he can take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, and the first goal is completely luck from Harley. It goes off of someone and then corners it. But the second one's a really nice shot, and it's seeing through people and making its way to the net. And that's the type of thing that we saw him do tons and tons of times last season.
Yep, and hopefully that just makes him do it more and more. I think that first goal gives you confidence to do what he did on the second.
Just a little bit. He called his 2 goals 2 muffins. That's what he said today.
That is fair.
They were both
they were in muffin time for sure.
Right. And he was even talking about, he thought that that Back got the first one. So it was interesting to kind of hear that from him. Another kind of under the radar player tonight, even though he's never under the radar. Jake Oettinger. He was excellent for the Stars tonight, and Pete DeBoer talked about it in the press game, post game. The Stars have played 13 games in 25 days, and this was the hardest part of their schedule. He said he thought they were really resilient, and Oettinger, I think, was a huge part of allowing Dallas to win this game tonight. The 6-2 score is a little bit unindicative, for lack of a better term, of how the game actually went. It was a much closer game than the score says.
Yeah, it was extremely misleading. The Stars don't pull away till well over halfway through the third.
Yeah, and if you look at the past few games, I mean, the whole month of December, we haven't allowed more than 3 goals. And we've had some stinker-ish games on the defensive side of the puck too, I'd say. So our goaltending has been really good. And
it was key at very important moments too. I know it seems...
Second period.
Yes, exactly. And I know some people were talking about like the distance the shots were coming from the Calgary Flames. That was their plan tonight, was shots from the point, look for rebounds, look for deflections, nastiness in front, something like that. And for the most part, it didn't work. They got 1 goal off of it, but still, just to be able to kind of weather the storm a little bit, while the Stars were kind of getting pressed in their own zone, especially in that second period, was huge. And Otter deserves a lot of praise for that.
Yeah, especially to stay away from being down going into the third period where the Stars haven't won a game yet. Those saves late in the second period were massive.
Yeah, I forgot who it was, but someone on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about come from behind wins, how the Stars were one of the best teams last year. And this year, the Stars are not quite that. They're 27th in the NHL with come from behind wins. So that will go into that category, and I hope that continues for the Stars as well. One thing we do need to talk about is the difference from the Stars this year compared to last year when you compare their home and their away records. The Stars are absolutely ridiculous here. Every game I've come, I think they've won. I think they've only lost 1 game at home, and it was in Finland. So I believe that they're undefeated still here at the American Airlines Center.
They lost the one against the Ducks, but that's their only.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That's the only one
they've lost
blemish in American Airlines Center.
And I think they're 6-8 on the road, or 6-9 on the road, something like that.
Not as good.
Not as good. No. Not good. Not good. I guess that's the way to put it. I mean, y'all speculate a little bit. Like what's the difference? I mean, that's something that kind of baffles my brain a little bit.
A big part of it is not having the top 2 lines going both at the same time. It's just been 1 line for the most part this year. Yep. And it's a lot easier to shut down 1 line on the road than it is at home.
Yep, because you got the last change when you're at home, so you get to kind of decide who you're playing against more, especially off those face-offs. And we saw similar things whenever the Stars were a 1-line team. We were way better at home than we were on the road in previous years is what I'm talking about. So there are some similarities there, and I think if you get a second line going, it'll help. Another thing that might be causing it is I'm sure that was a focus of the team this year, is to be better at home, especially for Jake Oettinger. It was a focus because that was one of the only areas where they weren't tops in the league was at home. So maybe putting a little bit more emphasis on home has drawn a little away from the road, but I think it's more so the lines thing that James said.
Yeah. But part of the road game too is the tough schedule that they've had. I mean, there's been a stupid amount of travel in the first third of this season.
Which, if you had to pick a third, I'd pick the first one.
Yeah.
Right. It's especially that's very true considering that it's just going to get further down into the season and you're going to want to kind of build up those points and search for home ice advantage going into the playoffs. And right now the Stars sit third in their division and it's not by a lot either. I think they're only 6 points up now on no cuz Colorado won today. So they're still 4 points up on Colorado in the Central Division. So it's a lot closer than it seems. So the Stars are going to have to continue trugging along when it comes to these home wins. And again, this is going to be another talking point that people are going to continue to discuss. But the power play, it's frustrating because it's just not consistent, is what it is. I thought that in the first period the power play looked really, really good. I really did. I truly did. But when you don't get the results that you expect or that you need, then it doesn't look good because it's ultimately about the results. So I mean, what was it about the power play tonight, especially in the first period when they had most of the opportunities where they didn't take advantage of it?
I continue just to not like how the power play looks. I agree. It looked like it was doing things in the first period,
It was
but
way better. All
yeah,
the puck movement, all
the
of the
passing and
rebounds, they
all
were
that.
shooting. They were
Agreed.
actually shooting.
The problem is the shot they're looking for is a point shot that has 5 or 6 people in between it and the goal. And I just hate it. I don't like what this power play system looks for on a shot. I want to see our goal scorers take one-timers from the sidewall or get pucks in low and do that triangle passing that got us so many goals last season on the power play. And that's just not what this unit is looking for. It's looking for point shots and it's looking for garbage goals. And I think this team has more skill and needs to utilize it more on the power play.
Yeah, it really seems like they're struggling with the spacing on the power play. I mean, they're getting caught constantly on the boards with the puck, not being able to find someone who's open, not being able to find the one man who's open on the power play. And some of that is they just get trapped, and sometimes you need a third player to come up high, and it doesn't happen. But I think a large factor in this too is that this is the first game that like the top line has returned, and that's basically where most of our power play goals came from last year.
And that's fair to say. And I know Joe over here is saying, and I didn't notice this on one of the power plays, but that doesn't mean it's not true. It's obviously probably true. Joe saying one of the power plays took 45 seconds before gaining a clean entry, but the first 2 power plays, especially that I saw, I loved the zone entries. I thought they were very good. They weren't doing the drop pass as much. They were just looking for, clean passes, clean skill passes, I guess you could say. And they were effective on getting into the zone with those. And,
Also,
maybe that was the third power play in the first period. I'm not sure, but especially the first 2, I thought were really good.
Also needs to be known that Flames are dead last in penalty kill percentage. It's 65% on the penalty kill. They're like close to getting scored on half the time. That's crazy.
This is the first game in 6 games that they haven't let in a power play goal.
Yeah. So while I agree it looked better, you're saying it looked better against one of the worst penalty kills we've played against. Period.
I mean, all the penalty kills that we've played against have either been the worst at home or the worst on the road in the past like 4 or 5 games.
And in my own defense, I did say that even though they looked good, they still didn't get the results. So ultimately, it's bad. I mean that's it's all about the results. But at the same time, coming into tonight, I think they had like a power play goal in like 3 out of the last 4 or 3 out of the last 5 or something.
5 out of 20 coming into the night.
So that's like how 25%. That's very good. So they're on the upswing, but I'm just glad it wasn't a factor tonight in the score. That we're not looking back on it in this episode and saying, well, if only we had scored on the power play in the first period, maybe we could have won. We don't have to worry about that. Thank goodness.
Yeah. It really could have been the difference, though. I mean, especially that first period. The first period was looking exactly like the past 3 games, where tons of chances, no execution.
Exactly. 100%. Okay. Anything else that we need to talk about?
I don't think so. I think I'm good.
Okay. I do want to take the time, since we're here, and We haven't gotten the chance to talk about it, but let's talk about Sagan just a little bit because we've been trying to find a time to talk about him, and it just hasn't been a good time to. And this seems to be better late than never. Obviously, if you've been sleeping under a rock or something, he is out 4 to 6 months. He had another surgery on his hip, and it's being taken care of in New York if it hasn't already been done. I mean, so he is on IR right now. He's not on LTIR, and there is a lot of speculation around Stars fans and their excitement, and saying that maybe we can pull a Vegas Golden Knights this year and go out and get a big time player, and then have Sagan show up at the end of the season ready to go for the playoffs. So, what's your thoughts on Sagan? First off, it just sucks because he was playing really well, and then
Second best start of his career.
Yes, exactly. And then second off, what's some of the thoughts? How does it reverberate? How does it affect the Stars in other ways?
Yeah, number one, it really sucks for Sagan. It feels better since Stankoven has slotted in there, and that line looks like it really hasn't missed a beat. So that's fantastic. It's to me, it's very likely they're pulling a Vegas Golden Knights thing. From how Jim Nill talked about it, it seems like a pretty normal surgery. I mean, as normal as a surgery can get, obviously. So he seems pretty confident that he's going to be back at some point this year. And if you listen to the Podman Rush, that's Mike Heika and Daryl Ray's podcast that they put out, Heika said something really interesting. He said he was talking to Sagan about how he's had kind of a weird year this year, and Sagan responded to him, yeah, it might just be the weirdest season of my life, but I'm hoping for a big shiny thing at the end of it. So to me, that's kind of cat out of the bag that they're pretty confident he's going to be able to recover in time to come back. And if it's anywhere close to when the season ends, he's not coming back until after the regular season ends so that we can use the salary cap relief, which would be around $10 million, and get Sagan back in game one of the playoffs. So I would say it's very likely that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. While the news is surprising for Stars fans, it's not surprising for the Stars organization. They known that this was going to happen. I mean, Sagan had not been playing back-to-backs. He'd been taking essentially maintenance days after every single game and having to work back up into the game. So that just is even more incredible to me when you talk about how well he was playing too, that he was struggling that much to play games, and he's just playing out of his mind.
So the real question is here, and it kind of makes it a little bit more interesting now that we've had a couple more games without Sagan in the lineup, and the D pairings seem to be a little bit more solidified now, and they seem to be working really well. What did the Stars go after? I mean, looking at the roster, and especially the way they've played, I know they've been tired, so they haven't played their best, and we're still waiting for the best from the Dallas Stars. But I don't see like a glaring hole in the lineup if the way that they've been playing the last couple of weeks continues on. Like, I mean, I know DeSmith hasn't been all that great, but he's been okay. I mean, do we really need to go out and get a forward? I mean, and we've been talking about, for weeks and months now, how we're still going to need another right-handed shot defenseman, another Chris Tanev-esque type player. I mean, if you have the cap space, but you don't need it, I mean, do you really need to go out and get somebody?
Yes. That's what's great about it. Do we need anybody?
No,
probably not. Maybe a Tanev. I would take a Chris Tanev, obviously. But right now, there's not a Chris Tanev on the market. I would say there's not anyone really similar to a Chris Tanev on the trade market really right now with how valuable right-handed defensemen are. So I would say not worry about that right now. What could you use? Well, we just lost a guy named Joe Pavelski, and someone who's been all over the talks is Malkin from the Penguins, which would be super weird to see Malkin go. Yeah, there it is, Jacob, with the comment there, reading my mind. It'd be super weird to see him wearing any color other than yellow, but he's pretty much exactly what Joe Pavelski was for the Stars. A veteran leader, still scoring goals late in his career. you would take a Malkin, especially on a power play that's as bad as it is right now. So
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead,
It-
James.
it's weird because right now, I mean, the correct answer is you just sit and you wait because first of all, you don't know if that's going to be your last injury of the season either, and
It's
you
not.
hope that it isn't.
Yeah.
You hope that it isn't, but you gotta wait and see, and that's where you have so much cap space if something bad happens. So,
And that's
Well,
another
there's
thing that
space
Nils
for it.
said during his press conference talking about the Sagan injury is that he is going to wait. And there was speculation that maybe we get something now and give him time to, mesh in with the team and stuff. Nils not doing that. He's giving himself the flexibility to figure things out if need be. I mean, because you think about like a worst case scenario, maybe a Jake Ottinger is out for the season. And
Oh, good
that's
Lord.
that's
Please
not
no.
giving you much cap space at all. But hey, if you got $10 million, there's good goalies on the market that you can take with this team. So
John Gibson?
exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it's smart to wait for the deadline. It would be way more fun for us if someone would get picked up pretty soon here, but that's highly unlikely in my opinion. I think nothing's going to really happen with this cap space until a week before trade deadline.
I don't know if Malkin is the right person for me. I don't like that idea. Just because he's still got a long contract.
We'll have to figure out his second season. He has 2 years left on the contract. He would have to figure out $6 million next year. But all that really comes down to what does Jamie Benn do? And that's a big question mark too.
This is the one that's more interesting to me. And that was I have been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks. I haven't said it out loud, but Rasmus Andersson, who is playing a first pairing defenseman role with Calgary, he is a right-handed guy. He's had a very good year. Calgary has actually had a very good year overall. And I mean, they're supposed to be nowhere close to the playoff line. And I think they're still in the playoffs at this point. So he would be a guy that I would go after if we were looking for a right-handed defenseman, like we've been saying. With that cap space, he is not super expensive for a right-handed number one guy. He is very effective. He's a puck-moving guy. I've only heard and seen good things about him. He gets me really excited. The problem is what would it cost the Stars? And that's how I go all the way back and tie this with a full bow is even if you have the LTIR route to go towards, why use it if you have to give up some really valuable assets? Like I mean, the first thing people are going to ask for is Maverick Bourque. And you really would hate to see him go somewhere else and we just get a rental for the deadline or whatever, and then he becomes a ridiculous star for whatever team.
Well, I mean,
okay, but that was worth it. we talked about that. We talked about that. Yes.
But that's that's the perfect comparison though too. Is that the Stars trade away Jarome Iginla for Joe Nieuwendyk and they go win a Stanley Cup. When you get Joe Nieuwendyk, you don't know that you're going to win the Stanley Cup. You don't know that. So in hindsight, obviously, that's a great trade. We'll trade a Hall of Famer for a Stanley Cup. But you don't know that before it happens. So we could trade Bourque. He might become a Hall of Famer. What if that trade helps you win the Stanley Cup? That's the kind of crazy trade moves that you make when you're in the position that the Stars have been in for so long. And the other side of that coin is, okay, we don't do that. Now you're the Carolina Hurricanes and you've been good for 8 years and you have nothing to show for it. So there is definitely an easier risk to palate, but there's a risk to not making big moves like that too. And I think that the team in Carolina is a perfect example of that.
Well, I mean, so with the LTIR space, then is this the year that Stars should go all in and just go juggernaut and just go out and get the biggest available guy or maybe two guys and just go for it?
That's exactly what's going to happen. This is going to be the craziest Dallas Stars season of the decade.
So we're talking Evgeny Malkin and Rasmus Andersson, both? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but I mean, there's lots of speculation as to what this means for Tyler Seguin, and the other thing I want to point out to this is very scary for Tyler Seguin for his career in general, guys. He came back from the last hip surgery, but that was like 4 or 5 years ago, and it took him a long time before he started looking good again. And now he's going through another one. And some are even saying, maybe this is the end of Tyler Seguin's career, and he's no longer a productive point producing forward. Are y'all in that thought process, or no?
I'm back.
I would believe that if he hadn't done so good at the start of the season, when we already can tell he's not skating well. I mean, he's not blowing past anyone. He's scoring goals his own way. He's sniping it in corners. I mean, he knows if he keeps his shot good and he keeps that hockey IQ up and gets in good spots, he's gonna score goals. And that's going to motivate him to keep going. And especially the start of this season is going to motivate him to keep going.
I'm back. I cannot be silenced by technology. Number one, I agree with James. Yes, he's already learned how to score without skating. He's done that. He's done that hard work, and it took him 3 years, but he's done it. So don't have to worry about that. The other thing is that he's had this surgery before on his other hip. That was in 2020. He came back in 2020 in the last couple games, and he was great. So no, I'm not worried about it.
Okay. I'm trying not to be worried about it, but I still am going to be concerned about it. Maybe worried is not the right word. Concerned is probably more the correct word. Okay. Let's go ahead and wrap this up here for tonight. James, who do you got for your biggest winner and your biggest loser here today?
Biggest winner, I'm just going to give to last year's top line, I guess. I mean, Robo, Hintz, and Johnston all tallying a goal. That's huge. And all of them are primary assists from people who are not on their line, which is kind of weird. But that's huge. That's how you get these big lopsided victories like this, is when you have your best players show up and just execute. I mean, and the Hintz one especially is really good. It's not a spectacular play, but Hintz finds a way to put it in the back of the net, and that's what makes the difference in the third period. I mean, once his goes in, it's just downhill from there, and the Stars were all over the Flames for the rest of the game.
For me, I'll give my biggest winner to Robo. This is the first time I think I've given it to him this season. I'm just hoping this is going to continue the consistency for Jason Robertson. He really needs it, and he looked hungry. But in the post game presser when he was talking with the media, he looked hungry, and I hope he continues that. And I know we've got a 3-day break here before we have a game again on Thursday, but it's still very important to see that he's got that hunger, and I hope he can keep that consistency going through as well. So
just stay in front of the net.
Yes, just stay in front of the net and maybe just crash the net. Do it, Robo.
He's done it like 3 times the last 2 games.
And technically he got rewarded in 2 of the 3. He
scored twice, yeah.
Yes. Chris, you're still muted.
You muted
buddy.
yourself. That's awkward.
I'm really having technical difficulties. My computer's dying. My chargers aren't working. I'm getting booted off. Whatever. Wyatt Johnston is my biggest winner. That goal was like, he's a puck magnet. He's 10 points in the last 10 games. He's really figured himself out, and is great. I love that guy. And have you seen that open ice with him and Stank and Harley when they're all in the same building? That looks like a fun time. That's like the Dallas Stars frat house over there.
That's true. He has been very good lately. I think he's got 3 goals in the last 5 games. Those 3 guys seem to be clicking well. And as Duchesne has kind of cooled off a little bit, it's good to see those 3 guys kind of taking the high horse and leading the Stars charge on the offensive side. Okay, biggest loser. Who have you got?
The Flames' big boy Ball. Back-to-back penalties and back-to-back shifts, I think. And his second penalty, he got a penalty for being a lot bigger than Stankoven, which is unfortunate.
That's unfortunate.
Zach used to talk about this when he was the last time he played hockey. He was 8, and he was huge for an 8-year-old compared to everybody else. So, and you're not allowed to hit when you're 8 years old, right? So kids would go for the puck or whatever, and they would skate into Zach, and they would fall over, and Zach would get called for a penalty for whatever. So it reminded me of that as you were saying that. But James, who you got?
Biggest winner, Dustin Wolf. I mean, Dustin Wolf has had a good year. I mean, he's been very good at home. On the road, he sucks. I mean, he should never play on the road ever again. It's one of the strangest things. He has a 900 save percentage, but on the road, he lets in almost 4 goals a game.
That is very strange.
Stats man.
I will give it to the Stars power play tonight. I still think that there needs to be some consistency there. It would have made it a lot easier for the Stars tonight if they had gotten more opportunities on their power play in the first period, and then we wouldn't have had to be twiddling our thumbs and wondering whether we were going to get the 4-goal third period like we did. Thankfully, we did. But you take care of that opportunity in the first period, then you don't have to worry about that. Okay. I can't think of anything else. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Probably expect an episode from us here, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe, guys. We'll talk about it off air here. But
we might finally have a time to delve into the Sagan discussion.
Yes, like a lot more than just this. So we haven't gotten to do
speculate all over the place.
Yes, including Dylan Larkin. There, by the way, which is not true, but
Mikael
it would be
Granlund.
cool. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for following along with us here this evening. If you're watching us live or listening live, there's even more of you who are listening later. Thank you guys so much for doing that as well. Thank you to DraftKings and Game Time. Promo code is THPN the next time you go and use their services. SarcasticRemarks.com is the website, guys. And if you're listening on your favorite listening platform, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. If you're watching us on YouTube, click like and subscribe. We'd appreciate that. And as always, follow us on social media at SarcasticArb. Again, basically anywhere and everywhere you can find us. And I think that's going to do it. Along with James, along with Chris, my name's Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. Chris, you got something witty for us?
A star is just a really big flame. GG, boys.